Hey everyone, it's Julia back again with another minisode of the Ethical Consumer Podcast. This one all about the importance of supporting your local businesses. There are so many reasons why it's important to support your local businesses, and I'm only going to highlight a couple of them today. But first, I have a story for you. And it's the story of how recording this podcast initially failed, but it reminded me of why community is so important. So I was going to do this somewhat live, and I was going to walk down Main Street yesterday morning and show you a couple of my favorite spots while I was sharing this information. And then a funny thing happened. I'm walking down the street and I see somebody that I know. So I stop and I talk with them for a little bit, and then I go on my way and I think, okay, now I'll start recording. Now I'll start everything. And then I see somebody else. And then I walk into the back of Cup of Joe, my favorite coffee shop, and I see another friend who I've actually known since preschool. He's actually the reason I'm a part of this podcast. Thanks, Danny. So as I'm talking to him, there's somebody else in line ahead of us, and it happens to be one of my yoga students. And then she offers to buy my chai. And behind the counter is one of my favorite people, Dawn, the owner. And it really reminded me when you walk in to a business that you frequented for so long, you're a part of that little micro community that is part of your larger community, whether it's Community Main Street, Community Cedar Falls, Community Iowa, wherever you happen to live. You are a special part of all of these people's lives. And when you walk in, you're seeing friends. You're seeing people maybe you consider as family. So although I didn't get my episode recorded yesterday like I wanted to, it gave me a whole lot of inspiration and fuel for actually recording it right now. So without further ado, I will detail why it is important to support your local businesses. Just a couple, because again, there are many. Reason number one. You are supporting people that you know and their families. I think it is true that when you buy from a small or local business, they do a little happy dance, or maybe it's at least a mental happy dance if it's not a physical one behind the counter. You're not only supporting the owner's livelihood, but also all of the jobs that they've been able to create in their community, and in turn helping those employees and their families or the ones that they're responsible for. If these businesses go away, unfortunately, even more jobs go away. And I know this year especially has been really hard for a lot of people, so allowing them to keep their job, allowing business owners to keep their businesses open and running smoothly and staying in the black and out of the red is more important than ever. It doesn't seem like a lot when you just go and order a coffee from a local place instead of Starbucks, or when you go and order from your local Mexican restaurant instead of a chain. But every meal, every coffee, every purchase really does help a whole lot. And if we all just consider what this money is going to and what it's supporting, whether it's supporting a chain that, yes, does create jobs as well, but it's a chain where there's not a whole lot of personal involvement from the higher ups. When you walk into your preferred coffee shop, there's a very good chance that the owner may be the one pouring your coffee. And I think that's a really special thing to have that much hands-on involvement. Reason number two, when you buy local, in addition to supporting these business owners and their employees, you're also putting money back into your own community. The business you're buying from has to pay local and state taxes that go back into services that you use whether you know it or not. Services such as your city's public services like law enforcement, fire departments, road maintenance, schools, healthcare, and even libraries. Spending your hard-earned cash in your community helps keep it within your community instead of sending it elsewhere. You think about larger corporations that may have sites in multiple different states, multiple different cities. Sure, are these benefiting those individual cities? Yes, that's correct. But at the same time, spending your money locally keeps your money local and allows access to new and improved venues, outdoor venues, boardwalks, pavement on the sidewalks, especially in Iowa. You know, our winters wreak havoc on our sidewalks and our streets. Keeping that money local benefits you whether you realize it or not. Number 3, Buying locally is also significantly better for the environment as you're reducing packaging waste and carbon emissions used in shipping. Chances are these shops are ordering directly from the manufacturer or perhaps just have one middleman, one distributor in between. Whether you drive, take public transportation, bike, or walk to your preferred shops, we can all agree that this really decreases the amount of packaging waste, the amount that you have to take to the recycling center, and the fewer stops your packaged goods have to make, the fewer boxes used to unpack and repack, and the fewer trips equating to less fuel make a significant dent in our environmental impact. Number 4. Most of the time, you're going to get a personalized recommendation, especially if you've frequented this shop before. One of my favorite parts about working at Greenfield's health food store in Waterloo, Iowa was the fact that we were a small operation, usually only about 5 or 6 of us employed at one time, and we really got to know the customers. We got to know their dietary restrictions, which brands they preferred, which ones they weren't so keen on, which ones made their stomachs upset, and we were able to make even more educated recommendations over time because we got to know their preferences. This meant they knew that they could come in, they could trust what we were saying, they knew that we had their best interest in mind, and they as the customer appreciated being valued and being understood. I really think a whole lot of people just want to be listened to, seen, heard, understood, and when you're working with a small business, that's afforded. Maybe you walk into your favorite coffee shop and they know your order, or maybe you switch up your order every time and they still remember that you always want pea milk. Thank you, Cup of Joe. Some shops even have waiting lists. If they're a vintage furniture shop, they may get a piece in and they think, oh my gosh, I know so-and-so was looking for this. They've already thought of you. Maybe they've called you before you even walk in to see what their new finds of the day are. Shopping local is not just beneficial for the business owners and their employees. Shopping local also helps build that sense of community that we're all after between you, your coffee shop, your furniture store. The bottom line is, buying local strengthens communities financially, personally, and is better for the environment. And you may be thinking, but I really can't get some things locally, or I can't always get them from a smaller shop. I don't disagree with you. There are certain things that are hard to find in communities because they're obscure items or small items, such as electronic parts that maybe stores don't stock. However, it doesn't hurt to try. I do remember a few weeks ago, my fiance was looking for a speaker part, and he found an electronics store in Waterloo that actually had the exact part that he was looking for. He didn't think he was going to be able to find it anywhere in the area. He'd looked on a couple different parts shops online, from Amazon to independent retailers, and he was able to find it in Waterloo. And that was really exciting because it, one, didn't meant that he didn't have to make a minimum shipping purchase. He didn't have to pay for shipping. Something did not have to get shipped. Are we getting the drift that less shipping is always better? But he was able to just drive down the street, go pick it up. He had a wonderful conversation with the owner. Now, if you're thinking, I really can't find everything I need in a small, locally owned shop, sure, you're not wrong. You may need to go to a big box store in order to get hangers or in order to get clothespins, something like that. Some of the normal everyday household items, you're not going to find them at a locally owned shop on Main Street. But by buying them still at a brick and mortar store in your own town or a town close by, you're still keeping finances in the community. You're still helping your community grow. There are always going to be gray areas where things are not able to be found, or maybe you're in an area where you find it extremely difficult to even find a big box store. When shopping online, you do have alternatives. If you can't stay local, you can at least stay small. You may be able to find a brick and mortar store owned by a family in a different town or a different state that you can still feel good about buying from and supporting. Sure, maybe we have to use a little extra fuel cost to get there, but you know that money is going into a family's pocket and not another gigantic chain's pocket. Buying from a large online retailer may seem like the most convenient and fastest option at times, but at what expense to local business owners and their communities? By staying local, staying small, you help support these communities, and you can feel even better about your conscious purchase. That's all for today, folks. I'll see you next time.